give some credit for endless innovation to A24, the indie genre distributor that looked at the concept of what if trauma but gentrified and said, you say that like it's a bad thing. For their latest trick, they're putting out the elevated, darker, weirder, less expensive, but also more character-focused and smarter version of a currently hot subgenre before the studio blockbuster versions come out, in this case dropping their contribution to the incoming multiverse action movie trend ahead of either Disney or Warner Brothers' big-budget version. And whatever will eventually be said about those, it's already safe to say Everything Everywhere All at Once will probably not be suffering in comparison.
I am paying attention.
Anyway, yeah, the pitch here is pretty much taking the now suddenly red-hot multiverse genre and going, okay, but what if instead of Spider-Man, cartoon Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, The Flash, Lego, whoever, you did this with just like a regular person. Except also not a regular person because the main character is extremely obviously international global movie icon Michelle Yeoh, so even though she's playing a frumpy, middle-aged laundromat owner whose defining character trait is literally being a person who sucks at everything, if you're watching this movie, you probably know that's Michelle Yeoh, and therefore she's really good at lots of things, especially in movies, so it's weird and surprising, but not like that weird and surprising, that this person can be the focal point of a multiverse-spanning action-adventure brawl for the fate of all space-time, mostly within confines of a drab IRS office building, but also immaculately composed shots of otherworldly picture box settings because it's an A24 movie. It's also sort of designed to be impossible to neatly summarize other than saying it's fucking amazing. Oh yeah, way to bury the lead on my part, sorry, but yeah, it's fucking amazing, and you should immediately go see it. Instant fucking classic of gonzo mindfuck weirdness, 10 out of 10. But if I did have to try and get it down to a blurb, I don't know, I guess try to imagine a live-action Chinese-American mashup of Bob's Burgers and Tenet directed by Cian Sono. Except that it's actually directed by Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, aka the Daniels, and somehow both more and not as complicated as I may have just made it sound. In short order, our main character is Michelle Yeoh as Evelyn Wang, who owns and operates a barely hanging together laundromat with her husband Raymond, who's basically the most decent patient guy ever, but also a low-ambition doofus who she's kinda getting down to her last nerve with, especially now that they're being audited by Jamie Lee Curtis, possibly racist, possibly just kinda mean IRS agent, and she's also really not coping with a New Year visit from her elderly father or dealing with her daughter Joy having come out as a lesbian. Also, Evelyn herself isn't particularly good businesswoman, and the IRS troubles are apparently because she's been writing off a bunch of failed to monetize hobbies as business expenses, hashtag relatable. So basically our heroine is someone who's not interesting, has no skills, and is kinda hard to root for, and it's up to her to save the world. Plural. See, our big idea plot conceit here is that right in the middle of the IRS audit, Evelyn is yanked aside by, it would take too long to explain, so somebody, and informed that there isn't one reality but thousands of realities where everyone lives slightly or extremely different versions of their lives, all existing simultaneously. It's called a multiverse, yada yada, plot of Loki, 2 different Spider-Man movies, many different sci-fi TV things, that one Star Trek where Spock had a beard. Look, if you can't get your head around it at this point, I can't help you, and you're not someone who would ever actually watch this movie, probably, right? Anyway, in one of these universes, someone figured out a way for people to temporarily zap their consciousness into other universe selves in order to move across the multiverse, but in doing so has unleashed a power-crazed omnicidal supervillain who wants to destroy everything, and for reasons that are spoilers, only Evelyn, this specific version of her possibly, can stop it. Specifically by speed learning the tap into your other universe selves technique and using it to briefly view the other versions of her life in order to borrow specific necessary skills, yes, like combat, weapon use, gymnastics, martial arts, but also like random weird stuff that can be used for that, or other things, in order to survive the onslaught of multiversal bad guys suddenly pouring into the consciousness of other people in her universe, trying to destroy her, figure out what's going on, and thwart it.
We can access all of their memories, their emotions, even their skills.
By now, one imagines you grasp the point of the gimmick here. See, because she's dialing into the other full versions of herself, Evelyn isn't just picking out abilities to suddenly use complex fight techniques, hack computers, etc. She's seeing the lives that led to those versions of her having those skills, lives where she got other jobs, did or didn't marry Raymond, or isn't a mother, etc. And while a lot of this is obviously played for the strangeness and absurdity and physical comedy, the movie doesn't waste time making it all also about the fact that many of these other lives she's glimpsing seem to be a lot better than the one she has, that she keeps confirming over and over again that maybe she made the wrong decision, wasted opportunities, that she might actually be the worst or most disappointing version of herself, which, you know, is usually the opposite takeaway you expect when a character gets powered up into a literal omnicompetent competent superhero at the center of their own story, and also plays into the "oh, that's what's going on" reveal of who and or what the bad guy is and what all the fighting and destroy the universe action is all about, which gets paid off early enough into the story, I'm not going to spoil it, that you almost think they're going for a secondary twist, but nope, all of the really smart decisions this one makes on a storytelling level. Maybe the smartest was to look at their human side character story and go, yeah, this is what the movie is about, these are the dynamics and themes we're exploring, the physics and rules and gags are going to be inventive and weird enough that this can be straightforward, and it works. And so does everything else. It's tempting to want to spoil every ridiculous beat, but they're all better in context, and even if I wanted to pick at what may or may not be narrative rough spots or structural hiccups or bits where it might be too long, the fact of it is such a ridiculous set of tricks and stunts, coupled with so much else actually paying off at all, let alone as well as it does, is worthy of an unqualified recommendation on its own. Yeoh, of course, is even more fantastic than you might expect, somehow managing to almost underplay all of this absurdity, even in extended sections, where it almost feels like the movie is inviting her to indulge in full-blown self-parody. Jamie Lee Curtis is terrific, relative newcomer, at least to a role this size. Stephanie Sue is a revelation as Joy, and it's always great to see James Hong hanging out in one of his by now signature "you didn't think I was only here for that, did you" parts, but real talk, what you've heard is true. The MVP here is all but definitely Ke Huy Quan as Raymond. I mean, I don't even front about it a little. Out of all the much more naked pandering present-day Hollywood has done to my generation's nostalgia lately, seeing this dude, yes, really this guy, come back after a lifetime and basically steal every scene he's in with all these other heavyweights, not only showing out like, hey, remember me, doing almost as much action, comedy, gonzo, bizarre stuff as Michelle Yeoh does here, but also doing double duty as the expository and occasionally emotional center of the film. I mean, I really can't think of a cameo or comeback or Easter egg thing that anyone else could do that could possibly be cooler than that. He's giving an incredible, absolutely awards-worthy supporting dramatic performance, and it's all the more incredible when you think what it means to notice that, given that the movie and his character are all about focusing the attention on the central actress performance. Now, this is the kind of movie that's almost designed to come out early in the year, end up as a permanent fixture on every critic's top 10 list, and just sit there all the way through, and yeah, it's probably going to do that for me, and I have no problem with that. It is great. I can't imagine I'll see anything else like it this year. 10 out of 10. Go check it out.